straight with no chaser. I'ma give it to you straight with no chaser. Straight with no chaser. I'ma give it to you straight with no chaser. You can come and tell your story, you can get it off your chest. Positive love and vibe with celebrity guests. From the big to the small, we can laugh and joke, or get straight to the point and blow it out like smoke. It don't matter to me, it's all love in here. Celebrating success and making people aware that it ain't where you're from, it's where you're at. And if you up in here with me, then you right and exact. Cause it's straight with no chaser. I'ma give it to you straight with no chaser. Straight with no chaser. I'ma give it to you straight with no chaser. Hey, what's going on? It's the one and only ManDeleon, the Al Capone of the microphone, and you are tuned in to ManDeleon straight with no chaser on ManDeleon Live on YouTube. And tonight, man, we have a great guest. I'm just really excited. Not only is she 2014 season 3 finalist of The Voice, but she's a beautiful motivational music artist. Who am I talking about? I am talking about the lovely Miss Michelle Brooks Thompson.
What's up?
How you doing?
I am doing well. Very excited to be on this interview with you tonight.
Well, thank you for coming on ManDeleon straight with no chaser. I definitely appreciate it. But enough about me. Let's talk about you. For those who don't know, let these lovely people tell these lovely people a little bit about yourself and where you from and all of that.
So my name is Michelle Brooks Thompson. I am a national recording artist out of Springfield, Massachusetts. And people always say, where is that? Well, if you know or follow basketball and you know about the enshrinement weekend for the NBA, that happens in Springfield, Massachusetts at the Basketball Hall of Fame because we are the birthplace of basketball. So that is where I'm from. And if my face looks extra familiar beyond the voice, it is because I have been traveling the country performing the national anthem somehow, some way, don't know how, but it has become a signature to Michelle Brooks Thompson. And so I'm in every sport, playoffs, championships, NBA finals. That is where I'm at.
And speaking, since you started right there, we gonna go right there. The national anthem. Like you said, you doing you recently. I think the most recently you did was the AFC playoff game.
Yeah, and Kansas City. Yeah.
Right. How was that? Was it just like, oh, I just do the national anthem all the time, or was it like, okay,
Oh my
was you a
gosh.
fan of either team, or?
So I was definitely a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs. And so it was just kind of surreal to be there because one, my goal is to sing at the Super Bowl one day. And, I look at every game, championship, playoff, whichever, as one step closer to fulfilling that dream. And so when I got the call, I was like, oh man, this is great. I actually performed at an AFC game back in 2014 for the Patriots and the Colts. And that was an amazing experience. And so I had been to Kansas City, I believe in 2016, maybe 2016. And it was an experience. But the AFC game, of course, it was insane because they were like, 2 rounds away from, winning to go to the Super Bowl. So it was a great experience, great exposure. It was cold and it snowed and it rained. So, but still had a great time, still delivered a great performance.
Well, I seen it. I didn't see it live, because I don't know why, but I seen it, and you know, like I don't know, man. I'm gonna just tell you, amazing. Like I'm gonna get in later to about how amazing I think you are vocally. We're
Thank
gonna
you.
get into that.
Thank
but
you.
but you also do like you done opening day at Fenway Park too.
Yeah, so literally, I am, how do I say it? I'm an All-American. That's what they call the athletes who play all the sports. So I'm an All-American national anthem singer. So
Right, right.
I don't discriminate. I've done lacrosse, baseball, soccer, hockey, football, basketball. Only thing I haven't done yet is tennis. Hopefully the tennis open one day. We'll see.
Okay, there we go. There we go. Now and then like so, because I mean, and I don't know, because like maybe because you're like in the Boston area or whatnot. So you perform with the Boston Pops also.
Yeah. So, to give you a little backstory with this, I was working for Bank of America back in 2011. And my boss knew I could sing. She supported me. And, I always believe like God will place people in your life that are meant to be there for a particular reason and a season. And once they do what they're supposed to do, God moves them on. And so at this particular time, she was my boss. And I walked into work one morning and she said, she actually met me at the door. She was like waiting for me with a newspaper in her hand. And she said, "You have to leave work today and you have to go audition for the Boston Red Sox." And I was like, "What?" And she said, "They're having a competition where they are looking for a vocalist to perform the national anthem for opening day in 2011. So I want you to leave work and I want you to audition." So I said, "Okay, this is a little strange." But she was like, "Don't worry about your schedule. We'll fix it. And you just leave by such and such time so you can get to where you need to be." So I left work. I got to the University of Massachusetts. They went to the 6 New England states. They had 121 singers that auditioned, and I ended up being the last person to audition at their at the site at UMass, and I ended up winning the whole thing.
You was the last person, and then
Yep.
see that's what how they said. They say the last will become first. How they said correctly.
Literally, like
Right, right.
I mean, it was weird how it all happened. And, I ended up, so what they did was out of the 121, I think they took like the top eight, and we all went to Fenway and had another sing off in front of Renee Raincourt, which was the longtime national anthem singer for the Boston Bruins until I think
Mm,
around 2018 when he retired, and some people from the Red Sox that handled the entertainment. They were there. And so, I ended up winning. And once I performed it at opening day, people just heard it and was like, "Wow." And people just started, whispering my name, like, get Michelle Brooks Thompson. I even read an article about it um, when I first performed it, and they were so pleased that as I'm just say it, like, a powerhouse Black female vocalist,
right,
that
right.
I didn't butcher the national anthem in such a
Mhm.
way where it took from keeping it, preserving it, because every artist wants to put their flair on it, and I put a little bit of my flair on it, but I don't stray away from the foundation of the song. And I think that has been what has made my rendition so well liked and so recommended. And since 2011, I've literally been performing the national anthem for, gosh, conventions, political things, like I even had to sing in Spanish. I learned the Spanish national anthem because they
For
wanted me to
real?
sing the Spanish and the
Hold
U.S.
hold
anthem.
Okay, what that sound like? I'm sorry.
I,
I
I can't even sing it for you because I learned it for
you
that
learned it that
particular
day.
event.
You use a rhythm, and you like I could remember it to do it.
Yeah, I'd have to look at the words and hear it one time through before it like re-registers. But yeah, I had to perform that with the national anthem
That's crazy.
and "O Canada." So,
And O Canada.
hmm
And they want somebody to sing their national anthem that got a voice too. You know what I mean? You
yeah,
know?
it was. I performed for the Celtics and they were playing the Rafters, and so they asked me to perform both anthems, and I was like, okay, sure,
Like whatever.
I got this.
Write the check. You know, cut the check. Hey, so and you know what? So I mean, because the national anthem is like when you was talking about for how long you've been doing it. You know, your rendition is so smooth, right? Because and when I say that, I mean because like you said, for a sister like yourself, a lot of times when we do it, it'd be extra, and
Like that Simpsons
yeah,
episode.
like like you kind of remind me of like the way I look at things, like when I look at stuff as in style or way of doing something.
Mhm.
Like I'm not too flashy, but I want a little something with a little flair to it,
Mhm.
where you recognize it, and
Yeah.
without all that extra though, with just a little flair, you know. And so when I say clean, it's just that. But not only that, you recorded it.
Yes. So what happened was I was performing it so much. Um, my PR manager said, and my band director, he said, we need to get you a version that represents you because you do it so much, and it would be great to have this. And so just as we were getting ready to do it, COVID happened. So we had to put it off. And then in July 4th weekend, we released my rendition of the national anthem. And honestly, it was beautifully arranged by my band director, Mark Copeland, who's also a ensembles professor at Berklee College of Music in Boston. And he really went all out with live strings. Just we went for classical because I'm classically trained as well. So we wanted that feel. Like we didn't want to come out like pop R&B or anything like that. Like we wanted to have that classical feel to
And it definitely had that. Like,
it.
it's kind of like it, and I don't want to compare, but it's kind of like I seen something when Barry White had the orchestra and he did the whole, it's like when you said that, I didn't think that when I heard it because I was just so much listening to the vocal.
Yeah.
So I didn't really think that, but now that you say that, like, okay, now it kind of makes sense, like why everything sounded so beautiful. So, but
Thank you.
being that, and so like I say, like, okay, like you recorded it, like it's actually like somebody can actually just be like, you know what, man, we ain't about to pay nobody, man. Go ahead and play, go ahead and play that.
Actually, that happened.
Go ahead
That
and play that
happened.
Michelle Brooks, man, Thompson, man. Just go ahead.
It's crazy because I got a call one night. A family friend of mine was at a sports game at the local high school where my daughters attend. And she called me and she was like, they're playing your national anthem to start the game.
See,
I was like, thanks for the streams.
hey, I'm saying it's like I'm saying, it's like playing in, it's like, man, it's music, it's out there, it's recorded. Man, look, let me go ahead and play this, man. Look,
Yeah.
look, let me just go ahead. Look, that's got to be a beautiful thing, though. That's like a, that.
It's a wonderful thing just to be able to have music out there, in general.
Mhm.
And it leaves my voice print,
Mhm.
out there in the world, of voices and sounds. And so it's my signature, out there in that big world. And so I'm happy about it.
Okay, well, speaking of voices and sounds, let's go ahead and cut to the chase on this one,
Oh
and
boy.
and talk about your time on The Voice, and for those who don't know, like I say again, you were a finalist on season 3, so
Hmm.
just kind of tell us about that. I got some questions, but just tell us about that experience on The Voice. Like, how did that come to be?
Honestly,
Because I heard through the grapevine that you didn't want to do it. I heard through the grapevine it was like divine intervention because you was fighting it.
it truly was. Like you took the words right out of my mouth, because I don't tell you, because I had auditioned for American Idol,
Mhm.
and I performed, and one producer thought I was great, and the other producer just said she didn't know, and they never picked me. So I was a little bummed about that. Auditioned for Sunday's Best twice. Didn't get the first year I got picked. I made it all the way to round 3, which was where they decided whether they're going to put you on the show or not. So they decided not to put me on the show. And then the following year, I went back and auditioned for Sunday's Best, and I didn't get past round 1. So in the summer of 2011, I found myself on a show that had one season. It was called Karaoke Battle USA. And it was a show that ABC picked up because there is a real worldwide competition called KWC, which is Karaoke Worldwide. And each country picks their own two winners, a male and a female. And then they go to another country and they pick the grand champion, right? So they had this show and I was on it. I was so excited because I was like, yes, finally, I made it onto one of these reality shows where, as a aspiring artist, you can't pay for the amount of exposure you're going to get on these shows. You know what I mean? So it's a platform for you. So I was so excited, so excited. Had a viewing party and everything. And they never showed my performance. Never.
So you got all y'all people, y'all got chicken wings, and y'all
Yep.
got food and
Yep.
drinks, and like, yeah, and you get to the end, like, when, and everybody keep asking when they gonna show you, baby, and you be like, I don't know,
Uh-huh.
baby.
Yep,
Oh
they
my
showed
God.
me walking, they showed me on stage, but you never heard my performance.
Oh, so they was like, there we okay, there you go. Okay, they like, okay,
Yep.
there you go. See, like, it's coming, it's coming. I told you I was on the show. Like, it's coming. And then
That was
oh,
it.
so
That was it.
so obviously that left a sour taste in your mouth. So you was really like, I'm
Oh
done.
my gosh. I was like, you know what? That was in the summer, and I was like, I'm good. I am not gonna pursue this anymore. And if it's meant to be, it'll happen when it's supposed to.
Mhm.
And me being a believer and a follower of Christ, I was content with being sort of positioned in a posture that would allow me to receive what God has for me at the appointed time. So when I made that decision, I was in church one Sunday, and it was the summer of 2000. It was around July, August 2011. And my pastor at the time was preaching, and he turned around and he said to me, God said this time next year, you're going to be in LA, and it's going to be for something bigger and better than you ever dreamed of. And I said, okay,
Like,
go God, whatever you going to do, whatever.
right,
But
right.
I went back to that position and that posture of, I'm just going to focus on my walk with God. I'm going to focus on just being ready for when that time comes, so that when God opens that door, I can just walk through it. So February 2012, I was actually at home. It was a Sunday night. I was watching The Voice. Had never watched it before, heard about it because it was season 2. And my aunt happened to call me and she was like, "What are you doing?" And I was just like, "Just watching TV." She's like, "Are you watching The Voice?" And I said, "Yeah, actually I am." And she said, "You should audition." And I said, "Nope, nope, 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 nope. I'm not auditioning for that." I said, "But you should because you sing and there's no age limit, right?" So,
Yeah.
everybody in my family sings. So I'm like, if you want to pursue that, go ahead. But I ain't doing that, right?
Mhm.
So the very next day, I kid you not, I had a message on Facebook from a dear friend who is a talent scout who I met in my, singing ventures in New England. And she said, "Please give me a call when you have a moment because there is a national talent TV show that I would like to recommend you for." And I'm like, "Okay." So, I gave her a call.
Mhm.
And lo and behold, long story short, the show was NBC's The Voice. And so I immediately told her absolutely not. I said, "Thank you for thinking of me. I appreciate it, but that's not something that I want to do. And she was understanding of that. And at the same time, she just said, "Take some time, think it over. I know you're a woman of faith, but, just get back to me with your decision." So I hung up the phone and I'm like, "I'm not doing it. Like, I'm just not." But God, when God has something for you, it's for you, right? Nobody can take it away. It is for you. And so that following Friday, so about 4 or 5 days later, I
Mhm.
was teaching music at a school. And I'll never forget it. I was waiting for an assembly to start because my choir that I taught, they were going to be performing. And I'm sitting there, and one of the faculty members walk up to me, and she leans down and whispers in my ear, and she says, "You should audition for The Voice." And I said, "What?" I looked at her and I said, "Excuse me, what did you say?" I knew what she said, but I wanted to hear it again. And she changed her words. She looked at me and she said, "You need to audition for The Voice." And I said, "Wow." I said, "It's so interesting that you say that because that's come up this week. And there's an opportunity for me to have a private audition with the show." So I never thought any more about it, to be honest. After that, I was like, whatever. And the talent scout, of course, called me back and was like, "I just want to let you know that the private audition that you'll have to do is being moved to New York. It's not going to be in Boston anymore." And I said, "Oh, well, I'm definitely not going to New York. I'm not doing
There's
it."
your excuse. There's your excuse.
That's exactly what it was. I was like, I was like, "God, looks like you're moving it away from me, and I'm not going to chase anything. I'm not doing it." So I went to my pastor, and I was expecting him to kind of be like, "No, the secular platform, blah blah blah." But he said, "No, I think you should do it." And you don't know what doors God will further open for you from this. And you know how to represent yourself in the best light as a, woman of Christ, and what songs and things you might not want to sing. He kept
Right.
it 100 with me.
Right.
And I was like, okay. And I went on about my business, never thought any more about it, was not going to audition. Okay. So probably about a week and a half went by, and it was a Saturday. And the talent scout called me back and she said, "Listen, tomorrow is the preliminary. Are you coming?" Now, the preliminary was in Boston because the people that they chose would go directly to a private audition. So it wouldn't be like your normal open call, where you sit for hours waiting to be heard for 15 seconds. It was different. You were going to have like 3 songs to perform, and then you would have an interview with casting directly. So it wasn't in front of producers or anything like that.
Right.
You were going right to the head of the line.
Right. Okay.
So I said to her, I said, "I'm sorry, but I will not be coming." And she was like, "Are you sure?" And I'm like, "I'm good. Like, thank you, but no, I'm all set." And I don't know if it was because of the Sunday's Best of American Idol. I was just kind of like, I'm good. Like, I'm not going to do these shows. I'm not going to put myself through that again. And my husband was driving and he looked at me and he said, "No, tell them you're going to do it." And I'm looking at him like, whose side is you on? Because I'm not going to do it. And he's like, "Tell them you're going to do it." So I'm like, fine, I'll do it. And showed up.
That sounds like a good man right there. But go ahead. That sounds like a good man right there.
I mean, honestly, he was the deciding factor at that point because he was like, "Just do it. Like, tell them you're coming." And I got there. There was about 20 other people that they were trying to decide if they wanted to send through for a private audition. And, I got there and I had made up in my mind that I was singing a gospel song, something uplifting. I wasn't changing who I was. Right. And what they heard was what they was going to get. So I think I sang "His Eyes on a Sparrow" and something from The Preacher's Wife. And so before we could really get back on the highway, the attorney and the talent scout called me and said, "Out of everybody we heard today, you are the only one we want to send forward." So I was like, "Oh,
hold up.
Okay."
Can you say that for me one more time? I just want you to say that for me one more time. It seemed like you was breaking up a little bit.
Okay, so after I did my audition with them, before we could get back onto the highway and start driving home, we got a phone call. And it was the talent scout and the attorney, the entertainment lawyer, and they told me out of all of the singers that they heard that day, I was the only one that they wanted to send to New York for the private audition.
And you said it was like 20 of them, right?
Yeah, it was quite a bit.
Okay.
So I started getting a little happy. I was like, "Okay, God, this might be you, but I ain't gonna get too happy because I know, we do that. We start thinking about the negative
I was just
right
thinking
away.
that, like, why we do that? I was just thinking that, like, why we do that?
We do it. It's like Doubting Thomas.
Oh my God.
Doubting Thomas comes and sits right next to you and be like, "Now, do you remember what happened last time?" And that's exactly what happened, right? Mm-hmm. So I think I had to wait like 2 weeks or 3 weeks out to go to New York. And the whole time I was just like, they're not going to pick me. This is going to be like Sunday's Best. It's going to be like American Idol. They're going to look at me and they're going to be like, "No, you don't fit the mold, the stereotype, whatever. Right. We're just not going to pick you." So I remember the day of the audition. I went to New York, SIR Studios. And I was just so uncomfortable in my own skin because I felt that I didn't fit the Hollywood. I wasn't a size 2. I wasn't, blonde hair, blue eyes. I just didn't fit the mold. And so I was worried right away that they just weren't going to pick me. Like, was I too dark? Was I not light enough? Did I, so those things were going through my head the whole time. But the most amazing moment happened when I walked through the door to my audition. And it was like God knew I needed to hear these words so that I wouldn't blow the audition because of all my fears.
Because you was trying.
Because I was pushing. I was reaching. I was reaching. And I mean, I'm like, I always say this, even though it's funny, But I'm
Mhm.
just like, God, can you make me lose like 50 pounds before I walk in this audition? Because I know you can part the Red Sea. So I know you can part these pounds. I just need you to do it. So he didn't do it, So I walked in the room and they looked at me and they said these words. I'll never forget it. They said, before you sing, we just want to tell you that we love the way you look. We love everything about you. That was all God
He put his arms
because
around you. He put his arms around you.
he really did. He
Around
really
you.
did.
That's that
Because
love. Like, I got you.
he's like, listen, I'm laying this out for you. You're not about to wait in a line of 100,000 people. You're going to have a private audition. They're going to love the way you look before you even open up your mouth. So
So get
when
that
you
out your
do,
mind.
he had it. He had it
Right.
already done for me.
Mhm.
And when they said that, it was like a wave of peace just came over me. And it was like, okay, now do what you do best, girl, because you know you can sing. That ain't a problem. You know you can sing.
Right.
And I remember singing and just looking up at them, and they were smiling the whole time. And when I saw them high five each other in the middle of my performance, I knew I had did my good singing.
Right.
Um, and honestly, the rest really was just it was all God. That's all I can say, because everything that happened, it happened in a way where, the Bible tells us when the blessings are from God, they addeth no sorrow and maketh rich.
Mm.
And everything from, like I said, with my boss, I was still working at that job when I got called to be on The Voice.
Right.
And she said, I will hold your position. I will not let anybody fill it. And we will wait for you to come back. I don't want you to come back because I want you to win, because you're meant to be a singer. But if you don't win, your position will still be available.
So we gonna
And
sit here and brag about you when you on TV. Like, yo, that's my girl right there. I told her. I'm sure
you
they
know,
did that, but yeah.
but I mean, it was just everything just added up. And sometimes, like, people who are listening to this interview, like, if there's anything that you take away from what I'm sharing, is that sometimes it doesn't take rocket science to figure out that you're doing something that wasn't meant for you, or you're involved in something, or you made a decision that you shouldn't have made, and things are kind of, red flags are going up. But sometimes we want something so bad that will, ignore the red signs and try to make excuses for the red signs, when God's like, no, that's not what I have for you. Nope, it's not going to work. And we had to realize that when there is something that is meant for us, when it's your season, when it's your timing, there is nothing that nobody can do to block and stop what God has for you. And I learned that in such a way where it's still mind-blowing for me, even though it's been 10 years since that experience. Every time I think about it, every time I talk about it, it always reminds me that God's timing is perfect. And
Mm.
most times I would say all the time, he wants us to be in a position to receive what he has for us. And a lot of times we delay that because we get ourselves involved in so much that he really didn't tell us to get involved in. And, God's a gentleman, so he just waits. Like, when you're done with that, I'll be right here. And I remember prior to 2012, I was trying to go through all these doors. Like, I was in St. Louis at one point. I was trying to get a demo to Nelly. I was trying everything.
Right.
And I went to church. It was 2009, and I went to church, and one of the evangelists came up to me, and she said, and I had just the gentleman that I was trying to give the demo to, he came to my job, and I didn't have the demo to give to him. And he asked me for it, and I said, I didn't bring it today, right? And so that Sunday, the evangelist said to me, she said, listen, God told me to tell you that the door you're trying to go through is not the door that he has for you. but he is going to open a door for you sooner than you think. And literally 3 years later, I was on The Voice. So,
Yeah.
it's all about being still and waiting, because we all have a time. You know what I mean? We all have a destiny and a purpose, but if we're not in position to carry that purpose out, because we're doing all these other things that have nothing to do with our purpose, nothing to do with our destiny, then we delay ourselves. We hold up things. And so that was the first time in my life and in my journey where I was like, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to wait on God to open that door. And literally, he opened it, and all I had to do was show up. That was it.
Just be you.
And be me,
Hey, so
right? I didn't have to change nothing.
right, right.
I was just me.
So, okay, so you know done The Voice. You got success from that. Um, and so obviously you got other opportunities to come. But before I get to that, right? Because I always like to throw a name out there, right?
Hmm.
So I'm gonna throw this name out there, and then I just want you to tell me what this person might mean or whatever.
Hmm.
Romeo Johnson.
Yeah, so Romeo is the best. He was actually in my audition. He's a vocal coach from the show.
Hmm.
And he high-fived Michelle McNulty during my audition on The Voice. And he is just the most humblest, down to earth. Oh my gosh, just you talk about human beings who have a light, who just when they walk in the room, they bring so much positive energy with their just their presence. And when they open up their mouth, it's even greater. And that is Romeo Johnson. And I had the privilege to work with him on The Voice, because The Voice has private vocal coaches. Don't tell him I told you. And so we get to work with them beyond the
Inside scoop,
celebrity
y'all.
judges.
Inside scoop. No,
Inside. And Romeo, for me, I'm always learning. As a vocalist, even though I've done some great things, um, been on some platforms, I have a degree in vocal performance. I always feel like there's more. And working with Romeo allowed me to be introduced to some concepts that helped perfect my vocal performance even greater than what it was. And so a lot of that I have taken with me since The Voice. And I keep in contact with him. He's such a great individual. Like, if anybody is looking for a vocal coach, and you want somebody who's not just gonna teach you vocals, but a good person, like just invested, that's the person. You know what I mean? Some people make it a business transaction, but he is just an invested individual in you as a vocalist. And I appreciated everything that he really poured into me during that time.
Yeah, because I know he had a lot of great things to say about you, and I mean he kind of legendary in his own right. Just where he began as a vocalist and a I mean a musician and
Hmm.
the whole nine. But yeah, see, you wasn't expecting that.
No, I wasn't, but I really, you know, he's such a humble person, and
Uh-huh.
I know how he feels about my voice,
Mhm.
and but I'm just as appreciative for his skills and the things that he poured into me. And even though by the time I got to him, by the time I got The Voice, I had been singing all of my life. Like
Right.
I've been singing as much as I've been breathing. And I think at sometimes maybe he might feel like, well, I didn't do too much, but I'm like, no, you did, because you told me some things that I didn't even know. And I grew up in a house of singers. My
Right.
mom was a singer, my aunt, and just techniques. And it doesn't hurt to apply certain things. You hear something and you know what, that might work. That might be effective. Let me try this out. And I've been rocking with it ever since.
So let me ask you something.
Mhm.
Speaking of your mom and your aunt,
Mhm.
you said they used to do music. So is it true that your mom and your aunt used to they used to have like a R&B funk type group? What was that? What was that called? Did they ever make it?
Oh my
What was
gosh.
it? I'm just kind of curious. Like, can I go find that song? Was there somebody I know? Because I love funk.
So yeah, so my mom had two sisters
Mm-hmm.
and two brothers. Now they were preachers' kids, so you know how this story is probably going to end up. So they grew up in the church. They
Mm-hmm.
were all church singers and musicians. They was bad. Like, they was in New England region here in Massachusetts, New York, Rhode Island. Like, they were a tough act to follow. And they went from the Wallace children to the Wallace sisters. And they were, phenomenal. And they were recording, they were traveling. Um, my aunt, who goes by the name of Claudia. She has some music out there on what is it, YouTube. Happy Days. Oh gosh, I know that it's right. Some good stuff. Like, we're talking like voices like Shaka.
So
Better than Shaka.
when did these songs come out?
They came out probably in the 80s.
Okay. Now, what's your aunt
80s.
name? Now, get Auntie props.
Claudia.
Oh,
Claudia
Claudia
Wallace.
Wallace. Okay, we gonna get Auntie some props. Like, go
Yep.
look up Auntie.
Yep. That song, I think, on the Billboard it was with a band, and I think it finished at like number 9 on the Billboard.
Okay.
But my aunts, my mom, they could sing, but unfortunately, that was that period of drugs, men, and it destroyed their careers,
Yeah.
unfortunately. It
Yeah.
really did. Addiction. And you know when I was born, and I always share this because um it's a testimony to my life, because when I was born, my parents were addicted to drugs.
Mm.
And at 2 weeks old, I was taken from them so they could go into rehab.
Oh wow.
And I was pretty much raised by my maternal grandparents, who were pastors, so that my mom and my father could get cleaned up.
Mhm.
And really, the drugs and the addiction hurt their careers.
Like a lot, like so many. Even the ones that we know, like even the ones that became, like the
Hmm.
famous groups and entertainers that we actually knew that
Yeah.
fell victim to that, and just, I mean, that's just, or without even being entertainers, just a lot of
Yeah.
people, families just fell victim to that. Just that was just us growing up,
Yeah.
unfortunately, but we survivors, and we here, we
Yeah.
persevere, and then we're going to do great things. Uh,
Absolutely.
so like I kind of, because you're more than just somebody that been on The Voice, somebody that do the national anthem. I mean, you got great music out there. I mean, let me kind of, I want to go through the music that you got out there, but let me shine a little light on, if people don't know, you should know by now that you grew up in the church and you started out singing gospel as a gospel artist. But one thing I want to say, you was also in a play, right?
Yes.
That was called Then a Child Cries.
When the child cries. Yes.
Okay, so what was that like? And I know that had Karen Clark Sheard and Ernest Pugh in that. So I mean, so them some heavy hitters.
Yeah.
When they come to the end, it's like them ain't just no regular names. So like, what was that
Yeah.
like? You know.
So, I can't even. I think the playwright found me on from The Voice. I can't really remember, but
And that was Lee Harris. Was
somehow,
that Lee Harris?
yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, give Miss Props.
Yes, Mr. Lee Harris, international playwright out of New Jersey.
All right.
And he reached out to me and asked me, was, being in a play something that I was interested in? And he had this particular role, which had been played by Karen Clark Sheard, had been played by Ernest Pugh, where he would bring in this singer that really did a majority of the singing in the play. And so that was me. So I think I did that I think he had the play, he ran it 2 years. And then he did another play called For Colored Girls. And I was a part of that as well.
Oh, okay. I remember the movie.
Yep.
So that was the play for the
Yeah, he did a play. And he's getting ready to do another one. And I'm going to be a part of that as well. So going back to theater.
and you know what? And it makes so much sense, right? When you say that, because even today, I was listening to, I listened to, I know I'm about to talk to you today. So I was listening to some of the other music, and some of it was, I didn't even, like, I heard, I thought I heard everything, and then the day I heard stuff I didn't hear, and I was like, well, I was slipping. So, and not only that, this is recent. So you recently put out a Christmas song.
Yes.
Last year, correct? And I had I had to let my wife hear it because she loves everything Christmas. And then when I told her, I was like, hey, I said, hey, she, redid Oh Holy Night. And she's like, oh, that's my favorite song. I'm gonna see if she do. I said, look, why? So I played it. But when I heard it, it just like, for me, it gave me like a theatrical gospel. Like, I was like, wow. Like, I'm just telling you, I'm just, I'm not saying this because, you're here. I'm just telling you how I genuinely felt. And I also felt that way about the other song that you got out. Forgive me because the name is on the tip of my tongue.
Never Give Up.
No, not that one. The more recent one. You had it's more of a got more of a jazzy feel, more of a.
Oh, Then I Met You.
Then I Met You. There it is. Then I Met You. Okay, see that joint right there. See, cause see.
Well, did your wife like the Oh Holy Night?
Okay, yeah, because I'm getting past myself. Right. I'm getting ahead of myself. Yes, she loved it. And not only that, I guess whatever that note she was waiting for, like, she was like, you outdid whatever the note she was thought that you wouldn't go, whatever. She was like, oh, you're like, oh my God. Like, yeah. And so I played it like twice, so I had to play it again. So
Cool.
So I was like, oh yeah, come Christmas, we definitely gonna be rocking. Yeah, that's definitely gonna be.
Thank you.
So if you come out with some more, it's just a suggestion. I don't know if you planning it, but man, maybe you ought to do a whole album.
Yes, we are working on a Christmas album for 2023.
Okay, see. So not because I said it, because you're doing it, but I'm gonna tell people I told her to do it on my show. I'm like, I told her to do the album, like.
No problem. We have to give you a shout out in the credits.
See, I like stuff like that. If you read, I grew up reading albums. So if you read the album, I'm there. Like, yeah, I'm right there in the credits somewhere. But no, you get all the credit because, like I said, it's definitely you. Like, And like I said, that other joint, when I met you, like I could tell, like I could just tell when you sing, you know, got just gospel. I could tell like your influences, right? Because I always,
Mhm.
that was like my thing. Like you could always tell an artist, like you could always tell somebody, like, okay, um, they, you know, you can tell they listen to a lot of Prince, or they listen to a lot of
Mm.
uh guy, you know, like vocally, because you know, you can tell the
Yeah.
traits, and you can tell the traits in whatever they music, right? So you can tell somebody's influences, right? But vocally, like you just, like one of my favorite artists, like a lot of people don't know about it, don't get a lot of credit, is Rochelle Farrell, right?
I know Rochelle for real because I'm a real singer. These other
So
singers
listen,
don't know.
cause like the joint with her and Will Downing, you know what I'm saying?
Nothing has ever felt like this.
See, that's what I'm talking about.
Ooh. Listen, that I was about 9 when that song came out, but my aunt used to play that song all the time, and I'm 9 years old talking about nothing has ever felt.
Hey, you know what? Because you felt it. That song, you felt it. Like, look, even
Yes.
if you weren't getting it, you'd be like, I feel that. Like, you
Yep.
know, and you know, and shout out to my cousin Michelle, who put me on that. You know, because I didn't know nothing about it. I was in North Carolina. I was like, man, I don't know nothing about. Hey, but I loved it ever since, and it's just like, but the vocal and it's just the, oh man, like
That whole world note
yeah,
that
oh
she
yeah.
does. Yes.
Yeah, you know, make listen. See, you gonna get me on one, like, cause you know, I love talking music. You know, we can talk music all night. You know what I'm saying? But uh, like I say, that I would love to see you perform that one day.
Yes,
Uh,
yes, that is on my bucket list of songs to do. I was, not too long ago, I was thinking about that song. One of my backup singers who does a lot of duets with me when I perform with my band. He has a great range, and he does some Will Downing, some.
oh, so he already he had it. He doing the will. Oh man. See, okay, well, but did you just let me? You send me the link and let me know the live, and when you know, I gotta check that out.
Yeah.
Um, so like I was saying about those influences, somebody that I know that gotta be one of your favorite artists, because I done seen you murder these songs, these songs by her, and that's not something that somebody normally say.
Yeah.
Uh, I seen at a performance on the Apollo.
Mhm.
Uh, I have nothing, huh?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I know you've been on there more than once, but tell me what it's like being on the Apollo. Like I watch the Apollo me and my wife watch the Apollo all the time. Like just still now, like we be, you know, we ain't doing that. Like I might go in there and watch an episode tonight. Like still watch the
Mhm.
Apollo, right? So, what is that like? Like,
I looked at being at the Apollo and performing there almost like a rite of passage if you are an entertainer. Because I recall as a child watching, the Apollo and seeing the kids on there dancing, singing. I'm just like, oh my gosh, this could be me one day. And I just how it all happened. Like I never, you say things like, oh, that's gonna be me. I'm gonna do that one day. And then, next thing you know, you're like, oh my gosh, like it's me. Don't forget to rub the log. You're going out there. Sandman could come and get you. Like, it was just kind of a surreal moment. And then being in the stairwell behind the stage where they normally have the contestants waiting when you're going on to perform, and seeing all the signatures of the different artists that have come through, big names, small names. And I just, it was a surreal moment. And the fact that I got to do it twice is, a testimony in itself. But um, I felt very blessed to have been there. And there are some artists I know it's still a dream for them to perform at the Apollo. And
Right.
for me, it's, did it, take it off my bucket list. You know what I mean? Like I
Been
did
there,
it
done
multiple
that. I've been
times,
there, done that, man. I did Apollo
you
a couple
know.
times. Like,
So yeah, but I don't take the experience lightly.
uh-huh.
Um, because you think of all the greats, whether, comedians, dancers, singers, instrumentalists, they have graced the Apollo stage. And so that's why I said it's like a rite of passage.
Right.
Like, think how many, movies you see, like, where they have a scene, right?
Yeah.
And I
Right.
was like, oh my gosh, that's part of my story. I was at the Apollo too when I
And
won.
it's the same stage. It ain't like it's a different place, like they
Right.
redecorated and the stage was over here to the side, or it
No,
used to be
same.
like, no, it's the same stage.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. Like man. But look, we ain't gonna talk lightly about you killing them Whitney songs. We ain't gonna skip over that. Like, we ain't gonna just talk past that because I because you do a lot of shows and stuff now. Like I know you got a band. I know you done, but you open up for, was it Old Town?
Yeah, yeah.
So you doing that like currently right now?
So it was supposed to be a one. So this is actually the first time I'm actually making this announcement. So you can take this and feel very privileged because this is definitely like um my so I was supposed to do it one time,
Mhm.
and they loved the way that I opened up and really kind of set the stage for them. And so I've been asked to go on tour with them in April to 3 different cities. So that's, gosh, Cincinnati, Ohio, Louisville, Kentucky, and I believe Nashville.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations on
They,
that. Let me be the
yeah, I
first
wasn't
to tell
expecting
you.
that at
But
all.
I know I'm the first to tell you since you the first to tell me. You the first to tell it.
Yep.
So hey, no, but definitely that is definitely dope. I'm excited for
Thank
you.
you.
Cause and see, like you say, man, the Lord move in mysterious ways, man. You just never know. Just you know, sometimes you just gotta be a little accepting. Cause
Hmm.
we'll shut it down.
Yep. Yep.
Oh man, so it seems like you done so much. So where you taking it from here?
Oh my gosh. I to be honest, I just don't even know because I can say one thing, but it's like I'll get an email, I'll get a phone call. Can you do this? Can you come here? Like, I get a call today, and I feel like there's still people who haven't heard of Michelle Brooks Thompson. And, even when I opened for Old Town, people were like, where did you come from? Like, who are you?
Right,
And, even their fans were like, are you going to keep opening for them? Because we follow them from city to city, and you're the best opener they've ever had.
right.
And, there are people still finding out about me. Like, even the security guard, like, started following me on Instagram and posted a picture and was like, you were phenomenal. Like, normally
we
you
we
don't,
ain't used to this.
right? The security guard's like, man, you were phenomenal.
Right, right.
And I'm grateful for the gift that God has given me and the unique way that He is allowing me to use it, because it's not the way that I have had the success, the journey that I've been on. It's definitely not your typical journey. Um, and so for me, I've tried to be very transparent as an independent artist on my journey, by being open about the downs, the ups, in this particular journey, because a lot of these singers, you see the accolades, right? But tell us aspiring people, or people who are really trying to get to that next level, what it's like. What challenges did you have? And we don't hear enough of that. So, thinking about what's next for me, I'm just still continuing to make music and share my journey with everybody who wants to listen, to really emphasize what never giving up looks like, because I feel like that's my foundation of pursuit right now. Because some people give up, they throw it away. They're like, it's not gonna happen for me. And I remember hearing someone tell a friend of mine that this was about 3 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, that I should just give up because I'm past that industry age, right? To really pursue music. And I'm glad I didn't listen to that person, because in these last 4 years, I've had so many amazing opportunities. Where it's almost like you can't listen to what people say. You have to really follow your heart and go after what you believe. Um, because if I had listened, I mean, this in 22, I was on the first round ballot for the Grammys. I was on the first round ballot for the Dove Awards. Like, if I had given up based off of what someone else said through their eyes, through their projection of what my career should look like at whatever age, I would have missed the opportunities that I've encountered and been able to take advantage of in 2022. And 2023 is still presenting itself with amazing opportunities. So I'm just continuing forward. And I mean, I can't even like, today we had an amazing phone call, and it's just things keep coming for Michelle Briggs Thompson Music. So stopping is not an option, but continuing forward is the only option.
Hey, that you said that so eloquently. I really hope that somebody that's watching this, really get something from this, because you really have an amazing story, and just your perseverance through it all. Even when it didn't seem like it would go, or it didn't seem like it would happen for you. It
Mhm.
continues to happen for you. And then not only that, you can't worry about the naysayers and what other people's opinion, because for one, they ain't you.
That's right.
A lot of people try to discourage you from things because they jealous that they don't have the courage to do the things that you do,
Mhm.
or they don't have the talent that you have, and so that being said, man, I just hope somebody gets something, from this.
Don't quit. That's what it is. Don't quit,
That's
because
it. Never give up. Don't quit. Right.
never, never. And it's like, sometimes we do get frustrated and we hold ourselves, I don't even want to say accountable, because I don't think that's the right word. But, sometimes we hold ourselves to a level where we want to be at this level at this time, this level at another time. And when we're not reaching those levels, we get discouraged and we feel like it's not going to happen for us. I might as well give up. And you just can't do that. You can't. Like, you can't do it. And I've had those moments. I actually had that moment in, oh my gosh, it was in 2014 when I first did the Apollo. And that's why I say, like, everything in my life happens for a reason. Like, it's not happenstance. And I went to the Apollo, won all the rounds, got to the semifinals, and I lost by 3 points to a beatboxer. To a beatboxer, okay?
That must that,
I
that must hurt every time you hear a Dougie Fresh from Fat Boy join you. It just hurts your heart. Like, you just be like, man.
I am healed. I am healed from that wound, okay? But I will tell you, I cried. I cried like a baby because the prize was $10,000
Oh well, that was
and
something to
I
cry.
wanted the money
Uh-huh.
to pay for my EP because as an independent artist, everything comes out of your pocket.
Yeah.
So I just knew I was gonna win, and his score was 85 and I think mine was 82, and it's by applause. So here's the thing though, he had a busload of people that came with him. Like he pulled up with a 57 passenger van. So, you know, there you go.
And
So
he had that 3-point edge, but it was like 50 of them.
yeah, yeah. So he ended up winning, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm never singing again." Like I lost to a beatboxer. Like I could have handled losing to another vocalist. I really could have, but a beatboxer. I was like, he's spinning his hand for about 2 minutes. Like I don't understand this. So three 3 years later, I get a phone call from the producers of the Apollo. We would like for you to come back and compete this year. And I was like, nope, not doing it because I'm not losing to a juggler. I'm just not going to do that. I'm not wasting my time. So the producer called me for about 4 weeks straight.
Mhm.
So I think it was like the fourth time he said, well, look, the prize this year is $20,000. This is the first year that we're raising the prize from 10 to 20,000. And we really would like for you to come back and compete. And it was like the 85th anniversary or something like that. It was like a big thing. So when he said $20,000, you know, something in me gave me the strength to say, okay, so when do you want me to show up? So I went to New York. I won every single round. So there's about 1, 2, 3, maybe 3 or 4 rounds before the top dogs. That's the top
Mhm.
dog finals
Mhm.
that they have every November.
Mhm.
So I won first place. And then right after the semifinals, I got a call from the Apollo and they said, listen, Roger Ross Williams, who is a Hollywood film producer, is doing the official documentary for the Apollo Theater. And he saw your auditions and he would like to make you a part of the movie. So I was like, wait, what? So literally, I have pictures to this day. There was a news article about it. I had Roger Ross Williams, and you could look him up, in my house, filming me, filming my band, filming my backstory, my family, about my journey on the Apollo and in music in general. And I remember him, they were wrapping up filming and I was doing a band rehearsal because my band had something coming up. And he looked at me and he said, I am looking at the next superstar and the next grand champion of the Apollo. And that was like in the summer, you know, and I'm just like, well, who knows? Because if there's a tap dancer, I might lose to the tap dancer. So,
He might
so
he might come stump the yard or something.
like for real, right? Whole step team. I don't know. So, so we got to, it was the top dogs. And I mean, there was standing room only. It was huge. And if you saw that video, you could see that it was like huge, like packed in that room, and there wasn't a seat available. And so I remember just feeling so nervous, but it was like everything fell into place. Everything fell into place. And um, I remember being on stage and they were announcing the winners. Like, they say, okay, this person, and then the audience applauds and all that stuff. And I was telling myself, don't look at the applause meter because I didn't want to be disappointed. But something in me just kept saying that this was already done. It was going to work in my favor. And I just had that instinct in my gut. And lo and behold, I won.
What the meters say? Did you look?
The had 88.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Like, come on, you gotta brag about the meter. For those
I
who
think I had
brag about
98
it,
or
might know what that
95.
means,
I
you
had
know.
something. It
Okay.
was the highest score that night. So I think it was
Yeah.
95.
Mm,
And then the South American dance troupe had 92,
mm-hmm.
92 or 93. And I remember when I saw 95, I was like, okay, that's the highest score, but there's still the dance team. And when I saw that go in the 90s, I was like, this is not happening. I am not about to dance. And when I saw that they got 92, like the tears just started coming down my face. Like my family was crying, my kids was cheering. Just I had such a support that night. I think we
Right.
had like two 12 passenger vans of people come from Massachusetts up to New York, and there
Oh.
were people in Jersey, New York who had been following me
Mm-hmm.
from throughout the series that year. And everybody had t-shirts, they had noise makers. They was like, girl, you walking
Hey,
away with that prize
hey,
tonight, like we
hey, so,
can't.
so, so let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a serious question.
Mhm.
Even though I'm smiling, let me ask you a serious question. So you took a page out of the beatbox book?
I did.
Yeah,
I
now think about it.
did.
You was hating on him, but he did see.
Because I'm like, it's not like The Voice. It's not like America's Got Talent or American
Right,
Idol, where you have a panel of judges
right.
sitting there. You know what I
Mm.
mean? And they're going to give their feedback. The audience is
It's
really the
still
judge.
it's the audience, like, and it's official. It ain't
But I
no.
didn't have 56 people there, 57. I only had about 15 to 20 people. So,
Hey, but
you
them
know,
15 or 20 people was the difference between 95 and 92. You get me?
true,
Yeah,
true, true.
okay, okay, okay. See, yeah, that's how you gotta look at it. I'm trying
But
to
But
see.
it's funny because there were people there who worked for the Apollo that were rooting for me.
Right.
And, that's when you have something special, because the people, they're hearing all these other contestants that come through there week after week, but you have workers who are like,
Got
we
it.
need
Got
you
it.
to win.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
right, right. That's
So,
that's that's you know what, and that's a beautiful story right there. See, that's what I'm talking about. And and that's the beauty of I like to have on my show. When you come to ManDeleon straight with no chaser, like I just want you to be able to feel free, open up, and have that discussion.
yeah.
But with everything that you have done so far, I know you plan to do so many things going in the future, even this year. But with all the accomplishment and all the titles that you have, what is the one thing that you're most proud of being?
Honestly, I don't even know if it's a title, but I'm just gonna say a survivor. And I say that because although people see the success that I've had as an artist, my life's testimony is just as incredible. And I just feel grateful to still be here and to be alive. I'm grateful for the blessings, the titles, to say I'm a mom, to say I'm a wife, to, I to say I'm a friend and singer and all that. But to get to this level, to be where I'm at, I had to survive through so many things in my life. We're talking, like I shared earlier, being born, with parents who were addicted to drugs. And thank God I didn't come out with any problems. But
Mhm.
then to find myself going through rape and molestation at a very young age, and then experiencing the rejection of my father, and you know trying to take my life at 15 after my mom died, when I was 13 years old. Like, there were so many things in my life before I got to this period where people see, oh my gosh, you're so successful, like you've done this. But I'm like, only if you knew what I went through prior to what you see now. And so that's why I say the greatest title for me is that I'm a survivor. I'm victorious, because there are similar situations that people have gone through that they didn't make it through. We can turn on the news and see people committing suicide and succeeding. And I hate to, kind of, I know there's so much controversy about who takes their life and who doesn't, but the point is, when we look at DJ Twitch and we look at, Robin Williams, prior to that, we look at, Kelly Pickler's husband who just committed suicide. There are so many things that people go through in their life. And because we live in such a, I want to say, materialistic society now, there's this notion that if everything looks great, you have success, you have money, you have fame, then everything should be right in your world. You should never, feel depressed. You should never, have bad days or moments where you feel like you don't know what your purpose is, you don't want to live anymore. And sadly, people are dealing with that. And to be able to overcome those things and still be alive and still be able to reach the success that I have a family, inspire others, is a blessing for me, because of just everything that I went through, in my life. Growing up wasn't easy. And I'm always vocal about that, because I know that there are people who are young that are going through things. There are people my age that are going through things. Like, I just seen a post before I got on the interview, of someone saying how, they were broken. And, I'm just like, wow, like, it's a real thing that
Mhm.
people are dealing with. And just to be able to still be here and be able to share my talent, be able to share the things that I've been able to accomplish, it's just a blessing.
Definitely. And and I definitely appreciate you for sharing all that you just shared, because I know for somebody that's out there listening, uh, it helps, even because that's always something to hard to express, something hard to talk about. And a lot of times, people feel like, even though it happens, you feel like it's just you, or you feel like you done something, or even though it may not have been nothing that your fault at all, just
Hmm.
circumstances. But a lot of times people need to hear that, just to know that you're not out there by yourself, and then not only
Yeah.
that, just to know that you can survive it, and you can get through it, and you can persevere, and you know uh, and still continue to have a blessed life and do great things. So you're definitely a testimony to that. I thank you for sharing your testimony
Yeah.
on here with all that. Man, I didn't expect that, but I'm glad you shared that. I'm really glad you shared that.
Yeah. I
And
share it, because I have a heart for young people
mhm,
because I know what it was like to be young. Like I was bullied, and I talk about it to my husband, like, the kids now, they get bullied, they retaliate how they retaliate. There's so many news stories about, school shootings and things like that. But, I went through the bullying myself. I went through the rejection. I
mhm,
went through being teased because of my talent, because I could sing, right? Um, and, just kind of
mhm.
finding out who I was, what my purpose was, like, why was I born? Why am I here? And a lot of young people now have those same emotions, and just the world we live in with social media and all that, it doesn't make it easy for them. And
Right.
I have such a heart for them, especially those who have a talent, you know what I mean? Like they're gifted, but
Mhm.
their circumstances have suppressed their talent. And so those young people, have a special place in my heart because that talent that they have is really their their ability helps them to thrive. But because of their, maybe they lost a parent, maybe they were raped, maybe, they've been abused, they can't really nurture that talent because of the trauma that they're going through. The mental capacity, is triggered by all the trauma that they've gone through. And so I have an organization called Heart of the Earth, and it's geared on working with young people who have talents in arts and, the music and athletics. And we're using that to help them thrive beyond their circumstances.
That sounds beautiful. Where can people find that organization? What's the information for that?
It's heartoftheearth.org.
And so that's definitely sound like something that a great organization, and I'm glad it sounds like something that you're really passionate about. Not only that, so let the people know where they can find not only Heart of the Earth, but where they can find you, your music, and where they can keep uh update on you, and so they know what's going on with you.
Yeah. So my website is michellebrooks-thompson-music.com. And I am on Facebook, Michelle Brooks Thompson, Instagram, MB Thompson Sings. And I am very responsive. So people who message me on Facebook, Instagram, I do respond. Um, and everything linked to my music, you can find that on Apple Tunes, wherever you stream or download music. The national anthems out there, Oh Holy Night, Then I Met You, all those songs are out there.
I'm about to go play that. Then I met you when we get done with this. I like that, Joe. I'm telling you, I like that type of vibe. I just, it's a good vibe. I like that. So,
Well, shout out to Taiwan Peavy, who is like my big bro. He is the writer of that song, and Reggie Myricks, who is the producer, and he did guitar on that. That that was a really great song, to be honest. When they sent it to me, at first I was like, it's okay, And then I was like, well, let me do a rough demo of it and see just kind of where my voice falls. And I was like,
mhm.
oh, I like this. This is good. This is good. And it
Yeah.
actually went to number one in the UK last year, 2020.
Really?
Yeah. Yep.
Wow. See, look, you know what? That's what I'm talking about. Well, you gonna have some number one over here somewhere,
Yes.
somehow, and we know you number one because you on ManDeleon straight with no chaser.
Hey.
So I definitely appreciate you for coming on my show. I'm
Absolutely.
truly
Thanks
honored
for
to have
listening.
you on here. Um, so Much love to you, Mama. Man,
Thank you for having me.
much success.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. And there you have it, the lovely Miss Michelle Brooks Thompson. All right. And like I said, man, we had a great show. I hope y'all enjoyed it much as I did. With some great information in there. If you missed something, man, go back, play it back, tell a friend, all of that. It's the one and only ManDeleon, the Al Capone of the microphone. I'm out of here like a breeze through the trees, and when I'm going, I'm taking all the leads. Much love and success. Y'all stay blessed.
It's ManDeleon.
Straight with no chaser.
It's ManDeleon.
I'ma give it to you straight with no chaser.